an amazing poet. He can tell you all about himself because I'm not even going to attempt. I got his book. I saw him perform last Saturday night. This guy is good. I bought his book. The book is good. Timothy Gager. So yes, I saw him last Saturday night in Essex, and he did an amazing job. So he's going to have books out back there to buy, so buy them, please. Poets don't make a ton of money unless you're Maya Angelou. You're not Maya Angelou.
That's right.
So you're good?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Timothy Gager.
How about that beautiful music by Alice? I marked what I was going to read, but I've got no idea what I'm going to read, so we'll see what happens. All right, let's start with defining unnatural, non-scientific thunderbolts. You were the true miracle, like a statue that really cried. No trickery, no snake oil, an impossible vessel of light for others to translate. Jesus in the toast, or pane of glass, or the mold on the wall you talk to when you're reaching out, expecting an answer. May lightning strike down one time, then another, because that happens more often than thought. The recurring dream you had, tying a flower to a chuppah, I had the same, bolted up to stare at the crucifix hung over a lamp. You know, if you could just applaud at the end, because then it gets in my head, like, they're playing louder for that one, they don't like this one. Well, at the end it's just like, you know, well, I guess we'll applaud, you know, it's just... Reversing the rain. When reversing the rain, the sky is closing, the desert soaking, empty hearts lie in cavities, some assembly required, the lengthy daylight, the taking of theirs, the losing of yours. We collected lost postage stamps, knowing nothing of Costa Rica, nothing of New Guinea, no expert on geography. We're experts on the oceanic, how fish emptied the ocean, the whales washed away to sea. Serenity splashing, rolling over anger, left on the shore, then tossed to the crests. Serenity, the tossed boat trying to dock, like the wounded whale needing a rescue. All right, let's do sonnet, first scene at the Walnut Street Cafe. Let's hear it for the Walnut Street Cafe. Great poetry there, and open mic every Wednesday. That night his lenses found divine soft eyes, the night her tresses shine view of divine, a bull's eye or a wish in hearkening ties, newness of words get placed in time. There is a symphony of music for them, a softened note played in heads to strong hearts, seduce a wish to strike paper and pen, a fluster the words requested in part, meeting with him, hated saying goodbye, Sunday cafe decorated in style, the words got started, hello, then hi, wrapped in coats for tea, driving for miles. Then tried to share their days in time, holding her hand, fingers entwined. I did mark these. I have this really great way of marking things, and I have the page number of the very next poem. Except the second poem I just read tonight didn't have any page numbers, so I'm totally lost. The obituary of Paul Philopoulos. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Paul Philopoulos. Paul Philopoulos is this guy that I used to drink with, really, really heavily with. And, he got sober and I didn't. And he was was trying to talk to me about getting sober. And, I went to his house with like a couple cases of beer, and I was like, good for you. Then I got sober, and I wanted to thank him, and I looked him up, and I found his obituary. And in his obituary was something that I'd known the guy for years, and he never told me about, that he was this hero that overtook a lifeboat on the sinking cruise ship in Atlanta and saved a bunch of lives. The obituary of Paul Philopoulos. The hero turned a lifeboat around when the in-charge maitre d's' order of rowing toward the prisondom were unsound. At 18, he took over, crowned himself captain, no experience of knowing ship suction, commanded the rowboat around. Back at 2 a.m., the alarm sounded, rousted him up, the tasks began growing, engine on fire, the sinking ship now unsound. 50 people would jam a 28-seat boat, sent pulley down, passengers unruly, panic continued ongoing, yet the calm teen captain has not been around. 25 feet waves against a tiny boat pounded for days and days, their crests curled bowing, but no one now felt his leadership unsound. Then 2 days later, rescue helicopters showed, helps abound. Taking charge again, the survivors impatient and going, you controlled the uncontrollable rescue around. 2 days after, everyone was safe, aground. No less life expectancies reduced nor slowing. Paulie the hero, neither a word here unsound. He never told me this story when he was around. This book also has a lot of, it's got essays, it's got flash fictions. It was put together by my publisher at Big Table Publishing, Robin Stratton, and it's 20 years of my work. It's 350 pages, about 50 cents a page in the back. She picked out about 175 pages, and I said, you know what, I've got a very small but mighty readership, so can I put some new stuff in for them? And she said, sure. And so I said, well, how about another 175 pages? Encasements, compartment, boxes. The tissue box lies crushed in the back of the Subaru my father used to drive. He stopped when we forced him to, but he was forgetting how to get places. Now he forgets he even owned the car. The tissues hung out like innards from an animal crushed on a country road. The cardboard casing has been run over by my guitar case and my overnight band as they get the backseat treatment. At my girlfriend's, we play music at night until it's time to put on my pajamas. I never carry tissues in my car, and these seem almost unusable, fanned out of what used to contain them. The sunny yellow box was initially purchased by my mother when she was still alive. My father blows his nose in a handkerchief. I know people who have lost babies and kept nurseries forever, or dead children's rooms became museums, retaining posters of the teen idols from Cream magazine. Some wives keep their husbands' clothing within plastic to maintain the smell of their departed darlings. Every few days, they unzip to sniff. I chauffeur a tissue box from my father's last car that will stay there till it no longer runs. I'm frozen whenever I see it. I cannot throw it out, nor can I use it up. It stays there, crushed. I actually did throw the tissue box out recently, but the tissues themselves are in a Ziploc. After getting high, another flash fiction piece. We had pizza at a place called Pizza Palooza, which made us think about how many other spin-offs there were. So my friend Trey, who knows a lot of things about a lot of things, happens to know a lot of paloozas. He mentioned Polar Palooza, then Pet-a-Palooza, and Learn-a-Palooza, the SAT prep course. He certainly didn't forget Puff-a-Palooza, a 24-hour marathon of vintage Sid and Marty Krofft productions run on classic Nickelodeon. Dude, we say to Trey, what the fuck are you, a loser-palooza? Then my date laughed and aspirated. Trey knew the Heimlich, and while she choked, the wind ruffled in the outside trees until a leaf spiraled off the same time as the pizza was expelled, just like that. Here's a poem that I wrote for my late great friend Jones Purcell, who's perhaps not just the best songwriter, musician of, I think he is very mentally ill, so he never quite made it in the business. But if you want to hear any of his stuff, it's on SoundCloud under his name, Jones Purcell. So here's a poem that I found within his lyrics. Jones's song. Just a shadow in the moonlit circle, hastened to domed fit. Was that Jones up on the trestle, guitar swung on back, standing crooked on the track? This friend of mine, the October sky, he wrote that having love was climbing a mountaintop, then shoved off a cliff. Perhaps he thought he must have slipped. 1,000 nuns prayed for the lost souls of that trip, playing for you, praying for you. Their hymns serenade you tight on the big black inked night. Living with rabbits. I speak to rabbits during the quarantine, or no one else in the world. Today I sing to them about what they're doing with their lives as they sleep and munch hay into mulch. The rabbits boast long back legs, quite strong. They leap forward great distances with a single push. They move quick in short bursts, good for leaping into the air or forward over the ground. When out of the cages, I relate to this happiness. Rarely I feel this free. I'm bouncing around marked pages from a reading of 2 weeks ago. How to revise a poem. Read lightly the first time through, then read it again, lightly. Then read it a third time, this time aloud. If you haven't already tried it that way, note places that sound clunkety-clunk. Use that last line, for example. Set it down, look out your window, if one is handy. If one is not, look at your foot, or hand, or your lunch. Then pick up a pen, a fountain pen if you own one. Write words which come to mind, related to lines you actually like. Do this for a while, then return to the entire poem, read lightly, consider something new. I think I'll do a few more. Sobriety. It can exist. Drink coffee, milk, 3 sugars stirred with a straw. Sit on the sofa, legs curled under. View oil paintings, hung boats and fields, thousands of brush strokes, thousands. Always make sure that word brush comes out really strangely when I read that, because the first time I read it I said breast strokes and just changed the entire meaning of the poem. Reply to someone who said my poems were all sad. This is actually someone emailed me and said, why are your poems so sad? So I responded in the email with this. Fluffy white cottontail bunnies. Pink noses sniff the air faster than the arc of a rainbow. Scurry with sweetness, nuzzling each other, unconcerned about how cute their existence is on a rich green hill of grass. Even now, sudden is a movement of a starving wolf creeping, one whom has not eaten in 17 months. Its hungry saliva corners the bunnies, who offer their friendship a paw full of daisies and dinner of succulent, crisp, bright carrots. We are friends of love, they all exclaim and giggle. The wolf even starts to hop. I'm going to close with another true story. This restaurant no longer exists. So I guess that, I had nothing to do with it. There's a fly in my soup. Waitress pulls a winged insect out from wonton soup, sifts it between pinching fingers, working as a grinder, producing blackened ash, says, not fly, seasoning. Thank you so much.